Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. We've got more huge EtherSquare customer links, with one being the most valuable company in the world, but also alongside Lord Grimm, who's also a great researcher for other Palantir clients. Then, we've also got General Milley basically talking up Palantir, clearing the fog of war in Ukraine, and also the AI summit here in the US and all the so cool pictures of Alex Karp and Elon Musk happily next to each other. So that's the new stuff I haven't covered yet. So looking at the stock first, we are still stuck in between the $14 to $16 range. I know Friday was a little volatile for those, dropping down to the low 15s, but for context, it really isn't a big variance from what we've been seeing recently in the past few weeks. So we'll see how next week turns out. So what was all the news happening this week? I'll briefly note the videos I already posted this past week and close out on the newer stuff. So first, we've got an interview with Palantir's Senior Director of Enterprise Technology, Marcus Loeffler, at the DLD AI Summit. Notably, he was at a well-known consulting firm, McKinsey, for 20 years and actually reached senior partner. So he's a high performer in a corporate environment. And at this interview, most notably, he talked about how Palantir has saved the World Food Program's $50 million. And he noted the importance of them saving this, of course, being able to reinvest that savings over time or to be used elsewhere more effectively. So fascinatingly, his example of AI changing the world was it being used to analyze and predict weather patterns because that can output the expected crop yields, meaning they can better plan which regions will have a higher food demand. Overall, a strong interview and always great to hear quantitative results, and I did shout out Arnie in the video they're posting it, but also wanted to give credit to Lord Grimm, who originally found the interview, who it's actually in the description. So feel free to follow him for more Palantir content as well on X. So next, Palantir won a new deal with Babcock, an international commercial client in the defense space. And more notably, they do a lot of business with the UK and their government and have been working on large contracts with their naval fleet. Essentially, this AIP deal is another way for Palantir to continue building up their connections to the Ministry of Defense directly, but with their other contracts and suppliers such as Babcock. So I'm hoping this is an early step to more deals in the future, especially since this is an AIP international commercial deal. Next, we've got the major news of the week, which is AIP Con 2. And remember, each of the keynote speakers made sure to focus on a different value aspect to capture as much as possible for the audience to see the value of Palantir. There was a red flag for investors taking note there of the shortening of the 5-year lead mentioned by Alex Karp, that the competition, using LLMs have accelerated their pace of competition to get closer to Palantir. At least they admitted it here. AIP still appears to be taking off with 40 new clients signing up in the last 2 weeks, which is very impressive considering their type of clients, which are larger organizations. But the major point for all investors to know is that Shyam Sankar focused on KLLMs, making sure to note that multiple LLMs can work in coordination with building a consensus on something or utilizing multiple ones for different aspects to tackle a problem. Then also, when Ted Mabry spoke, he focused on the widespread adoption of AIP across so many customers and industries and use cases, and introduced their AIP Bootcamp, which is promising to take a problem to minimum viable product or MVP in just 5 days. That's super fast. Now, honestly, this is major news to me personally, where they can accelerate new customers to become more familiar with this new technology that can also speed up expansion within these organizations, since they're basically building a template to tackle other problems as well and use cases outside of the bootcamp. So once that gets started for these corporate environments, they'll be able to spread it out much more quickly. And of course, the speakers that are coming next, Eaton went first and they went over their issue with the material shortage. Their focus was on Palantir's AIP ability to use KLLMs, ensuring they can use multiple ones to tackle any issue. But next we had CPKC focus on their train cart dwell issue, where an analyst was able to leverage LLMs to coordinate and get a full picture of their actions on the whole train system. And then they highlighted the continuous improvement and ability of Palantir's system to build up its knowledge base over time as more use cases get involved. Essentially, you're not starting from square one all the time. Next is Sentra, who is tackling scenario identification with their sensors on a specific tollway. They highlighted the value of trying and tying together proprietary data alongside third-party data to get the full real-time picture there in a secure manner. And then lastly was HCA Healthcare, who continued to expand their nursing scheduling and showed how they automated it from just the alert of the issue all the way to fixing it and contacting the nurses to actually cover the shift, and it looped back into the system, making it self-reinforcing. Then they also automated their shift handoff process from a piece of paper, literally showed that, to a living, breathing report that can be built through chat. And they ensured to highlight Palantir's security, auditability, and trackability, which is needed for healthcare and other highly regulated industries. Then my latest video was on HSBC's analyst Stephen Bersey. They initiated their rating at Palantir at a hold while putting together a price target of $16. Essentially, HSBC's institutional ownership appears consistent with their analyst rating, and they strategically released this after AIP Con, which made it look like they're not sure where the price is really going to go, which is $16 right now for the price target, which is actually in that middle range that we've talked about when I talked about the price just now. We'll see who ends up right in the end, but right now this rating isn't grabbing too much attention like the low Morgan Stanley one versus the higher Bank of America with Mariana and Wedbush's Dan Ives. Now to the new stuff. We've got General Milley in an article talking about the fog of war in Ukraine getting lifted. If you read it, Palantir is not named specifically, but everyone knows it's about that, and they pointed out the technology in the background picture there. And Ted Mabry himself at AIP Con did this. So basically this article is about Palantir, and that's confirmed. But this is always great to continue to see how Palantir is making a difference in Ukraine and continues to build up their credibility and reputation in the European region as a whole, at least for their government military business. Next, we have an Ethersquare link. Kloeckner Metal is around a 750 million euro market cap company with around 7,700 employees and 100,000 customers. So they already do billions in sales and around 140 million euros of net income, at least what's disclosed in 2019 and on their About Us page. So if you just go to their latest Q2 2023 earnings report, it highlights that they did about 131 million euros of EBITDA with 96 million euros of positive operating cash flow. And they are guiding for full year 2023 between 220 to 280 million euros of EBITDA with higher cash flow. So we'll see if this ever gets publicly disclosed, but either way, if Palantir is truly helping them, there's definitely a piece of the pie here where their contract could be worth millions per year. Then another Ethersquare link here showing Saudi Aramco. This is major news here if it goes official, considering we all know they are an oil company, and I say in quotes for the Saudis government. But yes, they are technically an $8 trillion company based on their stock today. For that size of their company and being in the oil industry, it makes complete sense for them to try out Palantir, and of course they have that expertise built up with BP. Now, if they can expand with an organization as prominent and large as them, then the potential revenue is huge. Now, I do want to bring a warning here, and this is going to be a point of contention. Some of you may bring up the government being an issue, and I understand possible concerns there, especially around their human rights issues, but technically they are a Western ally to an extent, and militarily they are still a major asset to the United States and the West and the region. So I'll leave it up to them to decide since it's not cut and dry, but as an investor, I'm still comfortable overall with this relationship. And then the other big kicker here related is with all the great research from Lord Grimm on Abu Dhabi's investment authority. I won't steal his thunder here, so follow and check out his X account and read through this whole thread. But he did extensive research here and found many employees who are literally saying they use Foundry right on their LinkedIn. And of course, this would be another major customer in that Middle Eastern region here that can scale into huge revenue in the future. But like any of these countries, we are skirting that gray area on Western values, so more to see how this actually turns out in the end. And then lastly, we have the AI regulation gathering here from corporate leaders, including Elon Musk and Alex Karp notably. It was a big deal on the internet, of course, with them sitting together with these great pictures of them laughing and smiling. Of course, this prompted some half-hearted rumors of them working together or wanting that or having a business deal. But in my opinion, I don't see that happening anytime soon, at least, concerning Elon's vertical integration over time, at least with Tesla, which most likely includes building out their own artificial intelligence capabilities specific to Tesla only. But it doesn't mean they can't be friendly nor have previous employees exchange in between, considering both of them have top-notch workers there and the propensities to have very intense work environments. But yeah, that was a lot of news here and I packed it all into one. What are your thoughts on all this? Let me know below, and thank you all for watching, and also appreciate my channel members, and see you in the next video.